Let's get into audience questions for the week, starting with, hey, David, what do you believe is the future of the progressive movement in the Democratic Party? Or is the future of American progressivism outside of the Democratic Party? So there's a philosophical debate here. There's an ideological debate to be had about, will the Democratic Party allow itself to become a truly progressive party, or will it not allow that, meaning that if progressives want a real foothold in the United States, they will have to work outside the Democratic Party as third party candidates or whatever else the case may be? Beautiful conversation. I love it. Completely irrelevant if campaign finance is not reformed. And arguably, if we don't actually change our system of elections away from a first past the post, winner take all system. I think that if you look at the Tea Party movement of 2010, if the Tea Party movement had decided to work exclusively outside of the Republican Party, instead of just having Tea Partiers run as Republicans, had the Tea Party succeeded at taking seats, it actually would have weakened the Republican Party, and by its by the inverse, it would have strengthened the Democratic Party. Why is that? If the Tea Party candidates were not running as Republicans, they would have been running against Republicans. They would have disproportionately taken votes from Republicans. They would have played spoilers for Republicans, and they likely wouldn't have won as many seats either. Right? So you would have had some cases where Republican seats would have been lost to Tea Party seats as third partiers, and that would have weakened the Republican Party. You also would have had seats that a Tea Partier running inside the Republican Party could have won, but would not have, because Republican money would have poured into the Republican candidate and not the Tea Party candidate. So because campaign finance is what it is, and because we have a voting system that is what we have, the Tea Party won a bunch of seats in 2010 in the midterms because they ran as Republicans. At the local level, some didn't, but nationally they ran as Republicans. Eventually, the Tea Party became integrated into the Republican Party, and the Republican Party overall was moved towards the Tea Party. This was a massive win for the Tea Party. You don't really hear much about the Tea Party anymore. It's just part of the Republican Party at this point in time. That's an example of a success at changing the party. Now, there's an argument to be made that Democrats are not Republicans, that the Democratic Party would not ever be so influenced by a progressive wing like the Tea Party was able to influence the Republican Party, because they're just fundamentally different parties. I completely disagree with this. And the evidence is, look at how the Democratic Party has already moved in the last 5 years, since Bernie Sanders in 2015 started more prominently talking about Medicare for all, free college to a lesser extent then, more in 2020, minimum wage increase. A lot of the stuff that was made prominent by progressives back in 2015, 2016, 2017 is now relatively mainstream in the Democratic Party. Now, there is no question that because the Democratic Party, as much as the Republican Party, are very corporate influenced establishment parties, you still see, a majority of Democratic senators don't support something like Medicare for all right now. But I think the evidence is clear that the progressive wing, progressives, have already influenced the Democratic Party. So my position is, if we don't change campaign finance, move to public funding of elections, limit the duration of a campaign, limit how much money can be spent, eliminate PACs, all that different stuff, I don't believe progressives have a serious chance outside of the Democratic Party. It pains me to say it. There's actually also a backfire risk. If progressives outside of the Democratic Party did a good job of taking some seats away from Democrats, running independent third party, in the short and even medium term, it probably helps Republicans by strengthening them in comparison to the Democratic Party. The progressive wing, these progressive independents, would be too small to really get very much done. In the long term, it's a question mark, and we don't know. So right now, if progressives were to break off and form their own party, it could very much damage the Democratic Party. If you're an accelerationist, right, if you prefer Trump over Biden, if it can't be Bernie, then maybe you like that. Maybe you want to see the Democratic Party destroyed in order to at some point in the future build it back up. That's a philosophical discussion. In practice, I don't see any way that if we don't reform public campaign finance and if we don't reform how our election systems work, I don't see any way that progressives succeed at the national level. Local is different, by working outside the Democratic Party. Go bigger than the Democratic Party, of course. But in terms of electoral politics, you've got to fix campaign finance and how we do elections first if you want progressives to have a shot outside the Democratic Party at really making an influence. One of our sponsors is privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at privacy.com/Pakman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver, and here's how it works. Takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the Privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be, because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft. And it's free. There's no catch whatsoever. But if you want, Privacy also offers a $10 a month plan that gives you 1% cash back and lets you create 36 credit cards a month, and a $25 a month plan tailored more for small businesses where you can create 60 card numbers a month and much more. But definitely go ahead and at least get started with the free plan. You'll protect your financial info. Companies can't charge you unexpectedly. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at privacy.com/Pakman.